Good morning, everybody. Roll call.
What?
Here.
Hawkinsmith?
Here.
Van Ort?
Here.
Connolly?
Here. Action on the minutes of the previous meeting.
Move. Second.
Roll call.
McCoy?
Yes.
Brownell? Hawkinsmith?
Yes.
Van Ort?
Yes.
Connolly?
Yes. Special claims?
None.
Action on the bill as submitted by the county auditor. Roll call.
McCoy?
Yes.
Brownell? Hawkinsmith?
Yes.
Van Ort?
Yes.
Connolly?
Yes. We have a public hearing for conveyance of electrical easement to Mid-American Energy Company on land known as Lauritsen Skate Park. Is there proof of publication on file?
Yes.
Is there anyone to speak for this? Anyone to speak on this? Seeing none, is there proof of publication on file?
Yes.
Okay. Close the hearing, ask for a motion.
Move. Second.
Roll call.
McCoy?
Yes.
Brownell?
Yes.
Hawkinsmith?
Yes.
Van Ort?
Yes.
Connolly?
Yes. At this time, would anybody like to speak to the board on any issues? Anyone like to speak to the board on any issues? Public comments? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to petitions.
Number 7, petitions to suspend taxes and special assessments for those listed on the agenda.
Roll call.
McCoy?
Yes.
Brownell?
Yes.
Hawkinsmith?
Yes.
Van Ort?
Yes.
Connolly?
Yes. Resolutions.
Number 8, resolution authorizing auditor's office to publish notice of public hearing to certify the 2024 weed assessments. Number 9, resolution accepting 2024 weed commissioner's report. Number 10, resolution approving the grant application to the Polk County Housing Trust Fund for the Polk County Emergency Home Repair Program. Number 11, resolution approving contract with the Iowa DNR for air quality program funding. Number 12, resolution awarding contract for Wise Wetland Project to LAR Custom Excavating. And number 13, resolution approving the preliminary plat of Scenic Bluff Plat 1.
Move the resolutions collectively. Second.
Roll call.
McCoy?
Yes.
Brownell?
Yes.
Hawkinsmith?
Yes.
Van Ort?
Yes.
Connolly?
Yes.
Number 14, resolution approving amendment to provider agreement with Decisions for Life. Numbers 15 and 16 are resolutions approving amended agreements for services with Easter Seals, Iowa, and Optime Life Services. And number 17, resolution approving a letter of engagement with Eide Bailey for the purposes of providing county rate information systems cost reporting services.
Move those resolutions.
Second.
Roll call.
McCoy?
Yes.
Brownell?
Yes.
Hawkinsmith?
Yes.
Van Ort?
Yes.
Connolly?
Yes.
Number 18, resolution approving agreement for professional services with Employee and Family Resources for opioid addiction and overdose program services. Number 19, resolution approving agreement and business associate agreement with Uber Health for transportation services.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
McCoy?
Yes.
Brownell?
Yes.
Hawkinsmith?
Yes.
Van Ort?
Yes.
Connolly?
Yes.
Number 20, resolution approving agreement with the Iowa Department of Justice for funding of comprehensive sexual assaults and violent crime services.
Move. Second.
Roll call.
McCoy?
Yes.
Brownell?
Yes.
Hawkinsmith?
Yes.
Van Ort?
Yes.
Connolly?
Yes.
Number 21, resolution approving agreement between the Iowa Department of Justice and the Polk County Attorney's Office Victim Witness Coordinator Program.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Roll call.
McCoy?
Yes.
Brownell?
Yes.
Hawkinsmith?
Yes.
Van Ort?
Yes.
Connolly?
Yes.
Number 22, resolution approving creation of position within the Department of General Services.
Move. Second.
Roll call.
McCoy?
Yes.
Brownell?
Yes.
Hawkinsmith?
Yes.
Van Ort?
Yes.
Connolly?
Yes.
Number 23, resolution approving compensation study recommendations.
Move.
Second.
I do have a couple of questions I wanted to ask.
Before we get to your questions,
Okay.
I want to say thank you to the HR and everyone that was involved in this study. And I want to make a comment. Polk County has not reviewed its classification structure in its entirety since 1985. Human Resources, in partnership with McGrath Human Resources Group, conducted this study aimed at ensuring a competitive and equitable compensation structure. And we believe it was crucial to continue to attract and retain talented employees, as well as being extremely competitive. According to the study completed by McGrath, there were positions that were below the county's desired 70th percentile, and there were positions that were above the 70th percentile. According to the study, there are about 217 employees that are red circled, and of those 217, 195 of those employees are already at the maximum of their range. Even though their new classifications has lower a maximum than their current maximum, they will not be impacted by the new lower maximum. They will receive COLAs going forward, just as they would have under their old system. The classification definition of red circle is no merit or COLA increases. Our red circle will be a hybrid of the red circle because everybody will be continuing to get a COLA. I just wanted to make sure that was clarified. Your questions?
Thank you. I guess, you know, as I look at this need for a compensation study, I think these do need to be done on a somewhat regular basis. I would say that, you know, it's not lost on me that we get to these, we get to some of these discrepancies when we go in and do exceptions to policy on the hiring side. And sometimes we do that because we're trying to attract profound knowledge or skill sets that are hard to recruit for, like the medical examiner, or like positions that we've filled in IT, or even some of the more complex, challenging positions in the medical and social work field. But what concerns me about this is, you know, one of the things we'll find ourselves doing is, in the hiring process, we know a candidate that is looking at a current position, and since these salaries are now public, all of our salaries are public, if somebody comes in and sees that a position that we're filling was formerly paying up to $30,000 more than the candidate that we're trying to hire at the same position, I think it's going to create a more challenging process for the hiring. And so my question is, you know, in these cases, what are we going to do? Are we going to make more exceptions to policy as it relates to trying to find the best candidate for these jobs? Is that going to still be part of our process to make exceptions to policies? I mean, I think that's a question that the board's going to have to address, particularly when we try to find certain skill sets. In addition, I'm concerned about morale. For example, if somebody in the county attorney's office right now is working as an investigator, the top of their salary range is about $105,000. Under this new proposal, we're gonna lower that starting salary to $76,180. So we're gonna be in a situation where we have side-by-side employees essentially doing the same job, one for $76,000 and one for $105,000. And I don't know how that helps morale in the office space. So that's another one of my concerns going forward. The other thing is we are capping earning potential for those employees that still had room to grow on their merit increases. We're capping their earning potential, and in cases where, say a person who earned $95,000 in their current job had a cap of $105,000. Under this new structure, we lower that cap to $88,000, so they wouldn't be receiving any more merit increases. And so, you know, one of the challenges, I think, is how do you hold on to your existing employees? The results of this study really boil down to this. After everything's said and done, 19 employees in the county got a raise, 45 employees that are part-time in the county got a raise. 217 employees were red circled or frozen, and 19 more employees have now reached their maximum earning potential. And I honestly think we're going to be back addressing these issues because I think we're going to have morale problems in the county, and that's certainly where I stand on this. And I understand we got here by making exceptions to policy, and these outlier positions became, difficult to recruit for, or things that this board made decisions to increase the pay on. But now, even on the MOA today, we're doing a increase in pay over and above the guidelines for somebody else that's going to be hired today. I think, this is what we're going to be up against, and I think in a competitive environment, these are questions that I'm not comfortable moving forward on because as new policy for the county because of these issues.
I just want to make sure I understand, Supervisor. So the only piece I was really not staying with you on was the piece where you talk about folks that come in at the entry-level position, working side by side with someone. You see, you mentioned 70,000 to 100,000 or whatever. That's the way our system's always been. It's always been a step system where you come in at the entry level, at the low level of the scale, and as you work through the years of service, you go through that step system and you get to that top end. And I think from a hiring standpoint, I can think of a few instances. One that comes to mind, I think, is an electrician position that we tried to fill that was impossible to fill because we wanted a journeyman electrician from the trades to come in and work on 240, 480 volt high voltage stuff, and you couldn't, you had to hire somebody out of the local union, and those guys are making over $100,000 a year, and we weren't competitive, and we had to make an exception there in order to hire anyone. I don't think it happens very much, but I think it happens occasionally, but I don't know how to fix that. we changed the scale on that position because of that reason.
And I think that's the right approach, is to go in and change the scale for the positions that are hard to recruit for.
Skilled positions.
Yeah, but like in the case that I was mentioning, like an investigator, well, the scale changed, so that person that was making $105,000, and yeah, we're gonna hire somebody back in at a lower pay grade, but we changed the pay grade so that their max now is $76,000 for that investigator position. So you're gonna have a current investigator at the $105,000 level, and then you're gonna be hiring in a new investigator at the $76,000. And until that $105,000 employee leaves, then, you know, they're still gonna be in that range. So we moved that grade $30,000 with this.
Can we clarify that for sure? I don't recall that.
I don't either.
Bella? Becky? Can I have a Kleenex? Thanks.
Good morning. Ella McGowan, Human Resources. Specifically to address the question on the investigator, the current max is 104,492. The proposed max is 102,844. So that $76,000, that's the minimum that we would hire a candidate in, and then they would move through that range based on longevity, their years of service with our organization.
So they can reach up to 100 and whatever.
102, correct.
Okay.
And if I could just,
Correct. So the pay adjustment policy that was adopted in August 2020 remains, which allows flexibility for the minimum hiring rate. This classification specifically is an AFSCME classification, and so when those requests come in or when we're having trouble recruiting an employee, we coordinate with AFSCME, we look at their experience, and we apply a formulaic approach to ensure equity to place that employee within the range in a competitive but equitable placement.
I think the key piece, I think a lot of people, most employees realize is our benefits package goes over and above any other local government in the state of Iowa. So that you need to take that into consideration too, I guess, when you take a look at these. And I knew going into this class comp study that there was gonna be difficult, something had to be done, and not everybody's gonna be happy, I get it. We're trying to do the best we can to try to get us square with what our comparables are. You do comparisons and they come out with reports like we saw. It's a tough adjustment, but we'll get through it, so.
And would you suggest that we look at this again things change, obviously, that we should look at this again in 5 years, 7 years? What's the recommendation on that?
The recommendation is 5 to 6 years. HR will continue the job analysis process as new classification requests come up or there's some restructuring. That's what we have done historically, and that job analysis process is supported and exactly the same to the methodology from McGrath Human Resources Group. So HR will continue to evaluate these requests to maintain this equitable structure.
John, did you want to comment on this?
the electrician position was talked about. We reclassified that when we had to realize there was difficulty attracting an electrician at our previous class. Is that not correct?
I can't recall if
Before the class comp study.
that was before the class and comp study,
Right.
right?
We
But-
had to do that individually, as I recall.
Any other comments or questions from the board? Okay, let's do a roll call.
McCoy?
No.
Brownell?
Yes.
Hawkinsmith?
Yes.
Van Ort?
Yes.
Connolly?
Yes.
Number 24, resolution approving Polk County Annual Urban Renewal Report.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
McCoy?
Yes.
Brownell?
Yes.
Hawkinsmith?
Yes.
Van Ort?
Yes.
Connolly?
Yes.
Number 25, resolution approving agreement to accept and approve termination of Central Iowa Regional Drinking Water Commission and of an amendment to 28E agreement to terminate.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
McCoy?
Yes.
Brownell?
Yes.
Hawkinsmith?
Yes.
Van Ort?
Yes.
Connolly?
Yes.
Number 26, resolution approving naming rights agreement for the Iowa Events Center Arena.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Before we vote on this, I just want to thank Wells Fargo and their Iowa Event Center and their staff for a great day yesterday with naming Casey Center and all the work that they did. Chris, do you want to come up and talk about it a minute? And without saying Wells Fargo, certainly thank them for the past 20 years. It's hard to believe that it's been 20 years, but
I know, and that'd be the first thing that I'd say. We're coming up on 20, right? So at the end of June, that'll be 20 years. And honestly, I said this yesterday, they've been a great partner for almost 20 years in more ways than just a naming rights partner. You know, I brought it up that we had NBA preseason game years ago, and they were a sponsor on that. They've been a sponsor for NCAA basketball. We'll continue to try and keep them in the fold at a different level, you know, not at a naming rights level. So I just want to say thank you to them. As far as Casey's goes, I mean, obviously we were tasked with finding a new partner when Wells said they would not renew. Jason Evans, who's here, he's part of our Oakview Global Partnerships team. Really, he spearheaded this effort with some others on our team. We talked to Casey's, they were the first ones. And conversation with them, they were engaged from the start. They wanted this, they wanted to be a part of it. And I think when you're looking for a partner, it's more than just the naming rights and the branding and the signage. Like, Casey's is going to sell their pizza and snacks and other products. They're actually going to do a physical build out of a mini Casey's store on the concourse. So I think it's much more than a naming rights deal. And it is a 10-year deal, starts July 1, and we're really happy about it. And we're excited to start working with them. We think they're a great fit for us and the county and the arena itself.
as I said yesterday, when we built the arena, and Bob and I took some heavy punches on that, when we built it, we said it was for the state of Iowa. Well, there's no other partner that I can think of. When you see Casey's, you see it everywhere in the state of Iowa. There's
Yep.
a Casey's. So this really talks and establishes Casey's Center as really being for the state of Iowa. So I'm really pleased that that's our partner.
We agree, and like I said, I think they're going to be much more engaged than just the naming rights partner, and I think that's great. That's what we were looking for, it was a twofold thing.
They
And
showed that yesterday.
I agree.
Yeah, it was great.
Yep.
Great work, Jason. Awesome.
Thanks.
Okay,
One
thanks,
more-
guys.
One more time to thank Wells Fargo for their participation. They've been a terrific
Agree.
partner. You know, we all think of Wells Fargo Arena. They announce it on TV, the NCAA's are up, Wells Fargo Arena. It's been great. So what a terrific partner they've been. So I hope you keep them in the fold. But having a locally headquartered company like Casey's as our naming rights person is just terrific. And so great work on you guys. Appreciate that very much.
Thanks,
The
Bob.
show was great yesterday.
It was
It
good.
was really good.
It was good.
Yeah,
Thanks, guys, we appreciate it.
you bet. Okay, let's do a roll call.
McCoy?
Yes.
Brownell?
Yes.
Hawkinsmith?
Yes.
Van Ort?
Yes.
Connolly?
Yes.
Number 27, resolution approving community development grant for Center at Sixth. Number 28, resolution approving community development grant for Des Moines Symphony Association. And number 29, resolution approving community sponsorship awards.
I'll move those.
Second.
Roll call.
McCoy?
Yes.
Brownell? Hawkinsmith?
Yes.
Van Ort?
Yes.
Connolly?
Yes.
Number 29A, resolution approving funding commitment to support the City of Des Moines Capital City Reinvestment District for the construction of the Pro Iowa Soccer Stadium and Global Plaza at the Dyko site in Des Moines to serve the public purpose of environmental cleanup and economic development.
Move.
Okay, I'm sure there'll be some discussion on that, and before we get started, I do want to make a couple comments. The reason why this is on the agenda today is because we have been waiting on the IEDA decision that finally took place on Friday. So timing was pretty critical on moving this forward so they can establish all the milestones and things that they need to do for the city and for IDA to move forward. So that's one of the reasons why we need to move this, and we've been talking about it for, I think, 4 to 5 years. Last year, before budget, we started budget, I think John talked about the different tiers that we were gonna work on, and talked about the dollars that we were gonna contribute. So it was no surprise when we decided to put this on the agenda. There's a couple reasons why I think this is important. It's truly a investment done by the state, the city, and the county. It's a collaborative effort. This is a game changer for our region, not just the city, but truly for our region. It drives economic development. And it's certainly one of the projects that the partnership has been number one after the airport. Now that we have that handled, this was the number one after that. I am excited that we're finally going to get that DICO site cleaned up that has been an eyesore forever. We're going to have hundreds of housing developments, thousands of construction jobs. The other thing I'm excited about that these dollars are going towards is the Global Plaza, finally getting festivals, culture, and community developments off of the streets at the Global Plaza, which will be great. And let's not forget that soccer is the fastest growing sport in America. So that is why I'm supportive. Plus, I know that there are other issues and social issues that we should be talking about, which we continue to do, solving problems, but we're always going to be confronted with challenges, and we just can't ignore all those opportunities and just focus on our challenges. So I think we need to invest in our future to give resources to all the other future problems that we have down the road. We can't ever lose our competitive edge to all the other communities, because once we do that, then we're just gonna, it'll be harder to solve all of our other problems. So I think this is really important to continue to move forward. This is a true game changer for our communities, and I will be supporting this. Any other discussion?
I had a couple comments and maybe a question or two. I guess with respect to the project, you know, when this project first was brought to us, and we made the decision to invest the $5 million, with the $2 million being matching for the city and other local governments that would invest in the project. We were looking at a countywide fundraising effort. I think the fundraising effort netted, you know, some great results in the community, among community leaders and businesses throughout the community that saw the value in this project. And the opportunity to clean up a Superfund site certainly was enticing everyone to want to be part of that 43 acres of changing the look of that site. And, you know, what concerns me today about this additional 10 million is respect to the, you know, the process that we're following. A lot of this happened, you know, received notice over the weekend that we were going to amend the agenda today with a 24-hour notice to the public. And I was concerned about, you know, why we're moving so fast to rush this through, something that's been arguably around for 5 or 6 years. I think there needed to be a public discussion related to the priorities of this community as we come to the end of repayment of our bonds on the 20-year Wells Fargo Casey Center. I think one of the things that I'm hearing in the community is, you know, we continue to have a shortage of affordable housing. We continue to need additional supportive housing. And granted, we can continue to do initiatives that support those endeavors, but is this really where we need to be putting the next $10 million? I think there are people that are concerned about senior citizens being able to stay in their homes and wanting to adopt programs that will allow seniors to help freeze property taxes. And then the houseless population that are living unsheltered in downtown Des Moines, what is the long-term solution there? And as a community, what is our role? I mean, we're just a piece of the puzzle for how we're going to address the houseless population. I think the city is as well. But, as a community, that's what I'm hearing from the business community as one of their number one issues is to address, how we address the unhoused in downtown Des Moines. I think that the Global Plaza is probably the best aspect of the project, because taking a site that was formerly contaminated, that's now been capped with an asphalt cap and a containment of a plume is probably one of the great uses for that plaza, because we literally can have fill dirt over it, and for recreational or outdoor purposes could use those 43 acres. I've heard people talk about a prairie demonstration project down in that area, which would be great for the wildlife, as well as to complement the water trails as well as Waterworks Park. But again, that's an investment of fill dirt and a plaza that would happen. So regardless of whether this stadium is built, I do think that we could use that site, we could clean it up, and we could make it a real jewel for the Des Moines community. I guess as we look at this investment of an additional $10 million, I think one of the things that, we're reminded of is just yesterday, we received an article, I think it ran in the Register and Business Record, that the economic development deal that the Kraus Group entered into with the city of Des Moines resulted in an 80% reduction in employees in downtown Des Moines. And that being said, we're being asked to believe that this same group is going to be charged with the responsibility of going out and doing a $500 million development deal, which includes the building of not one hotel, but 3 hotels, a grocery store, a convenience store, all within that stadium district over the next 5 years, four years actually, depending on when they commence. And I think that is a huge undertaking. That is a huge undertaking, and with interest rates being what they are, I'm not sure how something like that gets done. But those dollars, because of the reinvestment district, are actually tied to sales proceeds from increased sales in that district. So I just shake my head and say that doesn't seem like a feasible deal to me. But I guess what I did wonder about is, with respect to the funding that we approved in 2021, which was the $7 million, the $5 million plus the $1 million matching for the city and $1 million matching for other jurisdictions, when does that money actually get released in accordance with our previous action?
It'll depend on when the project is actually, there's milestones that IEDA put out. The $7 million total would be available once the soccer foundation board is stood up and this thing is moving forward. The additional $10 million would not be expended until, I think the first year is fiscal year 26, 27. So 3 years out. So the 7 million is really flexible in terms of when it's ready to go, when they need the money. The anticipation is we're not going to spend that money until this thing's locked up and the rest of the funding is in place, the agreements are in place, and there's actual ready for construction to start.
And the $10 million is incremental over a series of years.
Yes, yeah, spread out over 3 years.
So, in earlier communication, it was indicated that they would need $1 million upfront money. Is that no longer?
There've been no agreement reached with you or the soccer foundation yet about when it would be released. So that would be an ongoing conversation with the board.
Would that require action by the board?
I believe, I don't know if it probably would require action, but I'll turn to Ralph on that if you have it as an opinion, but we're probably a year away from addressing that.
Okay, well, I think that's important because I think from my perspective, I think we need to know that we're protecting the dollars that we're gonna send out of here. And if there is startup costs, that there be a commitment in place for repayment of those dollars should they be expended in the startup as well. And I guess on the matching funds, for the other communities, the $1 million, 1 million of the 7 million was matched with the city. Was the other $1 million matched with other communities?
It has not been matched yet.
Okay.
So the board in the future would have a decision if they want to waive that or if they want to count the Des Moines contribution towards the total 2 million, but that'll be up to board in the future, depending on when that money is needed and how much of that 7 million or the additional $1 million the board wants to. And see if we can still leverage contribution from surrounding communities to help this.
Thank you. Well, I guess, my concern continues to be that we should be seeking public input into how we're going to spend ultimately $17 million of taxpayer money in the future. And I think one of the key measures for that would be, some public hearings and some discussions about how the public views this money and whether this is the most appropriate use of those funds. I think it's imperative that we remind ourselves that 40% of this board will be new, effective January 1 or January 2, 2025. So those new members, are going to have a voice in this. And, I think it's also important to remember that, I think there's at least 40% of this board that aren't comfortable spending the additional $10 million. So, we can do this action today, but just like we did with the airport, I think it's always subject to future review by future boards. And, when we're talking about commitments this far in advance and we're talking about the 26, 27 fiscal year, we're a long ways from that today, and a lot can change between now and then. So I think, just out of respect for the process, I would have liked to have waited till the new board was seated and we could address this as a coalition, as a new board, and again, get that public input about our priorities.
Okay, there's just a couple things I want to clarify. As I mentioned before, we've been talking about this for a long time. We did get hundreds of letters, I think, from kids about soccer, how important it was to them a while ago, and they wanted us to move forward on that. On the issue of housing and homelessness, we spend a lot of money in Polk County out of our dollars, and have in the past, and we will continue to do so. So this does not divert any of those dollars to housing. We're participating in this community land trust. We've already purchased lots. We're about to embark on $18 million on ER2 money. We have 75 group homes that we spend about $20 million on for our folks. We spent $15 million on ARPA dollars for affordable housing. We're getting ready to open up Monarch on Merle Hay Mall that we put, or Merle Hay Road that we spent $1 million on. We have an emergency repair program, weatherization, various homeless programs throughout the year that we'll continue to do. We put $1.5 million in Polk County Housing Trust Fund, $1 million in NFC. That's ongoing. And that senior tax thing that you mentioned, I think the money's still sitting there. We've never used it that I'm aware of. We just secured $1.2 million of HUD funding for a new elderly home program. We give out $250,000 for legal aid, I think, every year for eviction. Primarily, I think they do for eviction prevention. So we're gonna continue to do those things because that's what we do. I don't think that'll ever change. But we can't stop growth and we can't stop development. And this stadium is 20% of the $500 million worth of work that's gonna happen in that area. It's not just about the stadium. This is about all the economic development. And yes, it's gonna take years. I'll probably be dead and gone when it all happens. But at least I know Des Moines is gonna be in a good place, and so will the region when I am dead and gone. Because Des Moines and the region needs this kind of development so that we can continue to help our most vulnerable citizens and do what we need to do, or Des Moines might as well just fold up shop. We have to have this kind of development to move forward.
Angela, I thought I'd add a couple of comments on this as someone who's going to be leading the board, aforementioned by Matt. I'll continue to vote on things. I think I'll try to vote as long as I get paid, and I'm planning to get paid until December 31st, so I'll vote for my county supervisor up until that point. It's too bad this has to be called the soccer project, because, you know, it's so much more than that. And the connotation there is that this is a soccer stadium where I spent tens of millions of dollars on a soccer stadium. Who would do that? Well, if that's all it was, I'd vote against it myself. Doesn't make any sense. But this is so much more than that. For one thing, it's been mentioned already, but I think it's worth mentioning again. This Superfund site that's been just an albatross around the neck of the city of Des Moines for the whole region, really, for as long as I've been on the Board of Supervisors almost, will be cleaned up, which is a huge thing. It's a good thing. The second piece is $500 million of residential commercial development, which is a gigantic thing, also a good thing, and it represents regionalism, I think, in a lot of ways. And that's one of the best things about this metro is the regionalism that exists here. From Mitchellville to Waukee, from Ankeny to Norwalk, I think most city councils, mayors, and school board members have the idea in their mind that we need to do what's best for the region. So we're part of a bigger region. We know that. This is the city of Des Moines. By far, our largest community that we represent, by far. It's the capital of the state of Iowa, and having a Superfund site right in the middle of it is not a good look, that's for sure. So that solves that problem. People have said, well, you know, this is great, Bob, you know, this guy leaves you an empty building in the middle of Des Moines, and now you're reward him with the soccer complex. Yeah, I'm disappointed in that too. I'm disappointed that this beautiful building is virtually empty downtown, but these are separate issues. They don't affect one another. One does not affect the other, and one is not a part of the other one either. Then I wanted to also talk a little bit about how this is being funded. You know, it's been mentioned the taxpayer money is going into this. You could say that, I guess. The origin of this money is going to come from when our bonding is done from the Iowa Event Center, basically, which we get a lease from Prairie Meadows on this, on a bonding for the lease from the buildings we own out in Prairie Meadows. That money has gone towards Iowa Event Center. That will end in 2026, and that money will then be redirected, some of it will be redirected into this project. So it's not taxpayer, property tax money at least, I'll say that. It's taxpayer money, but it's not property tax money. So that's an important distinction, I think. I think the growth part is important, and you know, in my private sector corporate days, we used to say if you're not growing, you're dying. I think that's true in public sector too, and in terms of cities, if you're not growing, you're dying. There's probably 80-some counties in Iowa that could testify to that. If you're not growing, you're dying, and we have to continue the growth here in this economic engine known as Metro Des Moines. There's other regions that are good economic engines too, but this one here is the one we're responsible for, and we need to keep the growth going, or we're going to be dying ourselves. So as far as the perspectives on this, I guess I respect my colleagues that have voted against this. I think they bring up some good points. But they represent a certain perspective. That's cool. But I represent a certain perspective too. And I was elected to represent a certain perspective. And, you know, I've been through a lot of discussions about the soccer stadium complex, for lack of a better word. I think I've taken all the input I can take on it. And there's nothing I think that's different than it has been for the last couple of years. But this has been a project that has the promise of really being a transformational project in the city of Des Moines, which is a great thing. It'd be great for the entire community. City of Des Moines is a large entity here in our community, our jurisdiction. It's an 800-pound gorilla. When they get a cold, we all sneeze, right? And so City of Des Moines is important. We look after them too and pay attention to them as well as our great suburban partners. But this is a great thing for them, and we're representing a certain perspective on this, at least I am. And I think that perspective, I hope that perspective prevails today. We'll go ahead and make this project a reality. Thanks.
And I think it is important to reiterate what Bob said about where the funding comes from, and the fact that in '26, the monies that have been used, the gaming revenues that have been used to pay down the bonds on the Iowa Event Center, and look at the success there. It's quite substantial what monies will be loosened up as a result of that. And the $2 million per year over the course of 4 to 5 years, whatever that agreement comes to, really is just a small part of all the monies that we're going to have as a result of having that bond paid off. There'll be a lot of other things we can do too. We haven't identified those. We talk about homelessness and affordable housing. There are opportunities there with those funds. We don't know what that's going to be yet, but we have to keep in mind there will be additional monies as a result of having paid off those bonds. And I think that's important. I've done a lot of research in the last 5 years on the I call it soccer mania. I live in Ankeny, and the sports complex there, if you go there on a Saturday or Sunday, I don't care if you're there at 8 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock at night, those fields are lit. And there are a lot of people playing soccer. The person that put me over the top with supporting this is my grandson. My grandson's 16 years old. He's a junior at Ankeny Centennial. He is on the soccer team. He started out at 3 years old playing soccer, and I remember him on this small field, and he was more enamored by the leaves that were blowing across the field than he was where the soccer ball was. And you see him today, and he's engaged. And there's thousands of other kids in Iowa engaged in that sport. It's a great sport, and like Bob said, it's just not about the soccer stadium, but think about the examples, and this is just not for the soccer team, the professional soccer team. This will be tournaments. This could be a number of different things. We can't imagine what it will be like. I'll close with two other quick things. My grandson, and he knows I've been wrestling with this for the last few weeks leading up to this, and he said, would I be willing to go with him last Sunday morning to Big Grove Brewery? And I said, you're not, you can't go there because, well, you know the rest. Well, the Liverpool Soccer Club, they start out at 10 o'clock on Sunday mornings at the Big Grove Brewery with the big screens playing, and they're following Liverpool soccer in England, and there's 300 people in this room, and they're just nuts. These are parents with kids. So I did my little walk around talking to people. Hey, I've got a decision to make on Tuesday. What do you think? 100%. Obviously, these are very passionate soccer people, but really drilling down. I guess I mentioned that because I think some of us have been trying to just do more than a town hall meeting, but getting out and I go to my grandson. He plays recreational soccer on the weekends as well. Here's my second point, and this is that there is a 5-member board, the Iowa Soccer Foundation is a 5-member board, independent, not-for-profit, that will set this up, manage it. And 2 of the members are appointed by Polk County. So we have representation, we have a voice on this board. We're just not handing money to someone and saying, here it is. We will have a voice. We'll have a seat at the table. And I think that's important too. But I'm encouraged by the conversations because we're making this investment of additional $10,000 or $10 million. I hope that can get this moving to where it needs to be to say, let's do it, or let's get it done, or let's not. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Roll call.
McCoy?
No.
Brownell?
Yes.
Hawkinsmith?
No.
Van Ort?
Yes?
Connolly?
Yes. Okay, communications.
Number 30, request for tax abatement for property at 6306 Southwest 7th Street.
Refer to the assessor, treasurer, and the county attorney.
Number 31, notice of appraisement of damages and time for appeal in the matter of the condemnation of certain rights and land for the 2025 Neighborhood Sidewalk Program Project. And number 32, notice of appraisement of damages and time for appeal in the matter of the condemnation of certain rights and land for the East Army Post Road Trunk Sanitary Sewer Project.
Refer to the treasurer and the county attorney.
Number 33, City Development Board filing of written decision in the matter of City of Carlisle voluntary annexation within the urbanized area of the City of Des Moines.
Refer to the treasurer and the county attorney. Oh, sorry. Refer to Public Works and the county attorney. Budget actions.
None.
We do have some appointments.
Move the appointments. Second.
Roll call.
McCoy? Yes. Brownell?
Yes.
Hawkinsmith?
Yes.
Van Ort?
Yes.
Connolly?
Yes.
Move to adjourn, Madam Chairman.
Thank you.
Second.
Roll call.
Yes.
Brownell?
Yes.
Van Ort?
Yes.
Hawkinsmith?
Yes.
Connolly?
Okay, it's been fun.